Yep. All rise for pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Roll call for attendance, please.
Michael.
Here.
Sandy. Here. Kelly.
Here.
Ken.
Here.
Lori here.
With regards to motion to approve the agenda under new business, I would like to add as item number 1, update on the SAW grant. Just because we have our consultants here and I don't want to hold them up in the audience when the rest isn't really.
What we can do is make it number 6 and then take it out of order,
Okay.
and then we don't have to remunerate our
Sure.
numbers. That's a
So it's number
discussion on
6?
this? Yes. That's a discussion on the SAW grant?
Yep.
And I would like to add, because of what we learned at that class, I would like to add a Parks and Rec would like to increase their cap to $500, and I'll explain that at that point in time. So at number 7 would be approve Parks and Rec cap on trunk or treat to be $500.
Oh.
This was before 350, wasn't it?
250 was what it
250.
was before.
500.
And I would also like to take out under unfinished business, postpone cemetery cleanup until spring.
So just take that out, or?
Yep. And then else.
And did you have a training that you wanted to take out?
Oh, well, under consent, are we gonna do that now?
Yeah, we can just do both.
Okay, take out item B, 4B, under consent agenda. And add as item D, MTA October 27th and 28th with hotel meals and mileage. Do you have that? Did I give you that paperwork? To pass out to them?
Was that something you gave me earlier today? All right, it's on my chair, I can run and go get it.
Okay. I'll be right back. That's right. Get this right. He waves.
Did you keep one copy for me? 'Cause I don't see it.
Probably put my phone. Let me go. Sorry. I just showed them.
Kelly,
You had it in all that.
I know. Not in here. Got it. My, the MTA thing, because I want to cancel the MATS conference. I did the MTA thing.
What is this for?
This is just our whole grant and the breakdown of how.
Oh, yeah, but this is what we got way back then, isn't it?
That's, we still have to follow through with what we sent in. I can't like change the numbers in that. We have to tell whatever we sent in for the grant. And
Yeah.
see what Thanks.
So we've already seen this before, though.
Yeah, it was just verify, just an update as to processes that you guys agreed to, the 68 using on idiots. We're just giving updates. Here's what we're following through with. Okay, we're good now. Anything else? Sorry, it was just, we didn't have the paperwork that I was trying to.
Well,
That's all I
So
got.
do you want to restate what, everything that we're changing on the agenda before we approve?
There,
it?
if you're finished, there was a couple of things that I wanted to remove from the consent agenda. One is the item number 1, the board minutes, and also the item number 2, approval of accounts payable for the clerk's report.
You want to move them to the new business for discussion?
Yes, please.
Item number 1 and 2? Okay.
I'm sorry, did you say the accounts payable?
Yes.
Do you want payroll too, or just the accounts payable?
The one that says page 1 of 1, this one.
Okay.
Which one was that?
Board meeting minutes will be item number 8.
Okay, and then also with regards to approving the agenda, I would like to note that under new business on page 2, item number 1, motion to approve Parks Trunk or Treat. Under our voting rules, it states motion first, somebody seconds, then we discuss, then we vote. Well, I had not realized that when Michael made the motion for the $150 for Parks and Rec, that you seconded it, because we got into the talking with Tony and all that, so then I made the motion for $250. So I didn't realize that we hadn't followed through to make sure, to vote on Michael's motion first. So that was my fault. I apologize, it wasn't intentional, but when I was reading the minutes, I noticed that. And that was my error. And I will try to make sure that doesn't happen again. And if you can help me with letting me know that somebody seconded it,
Okay.
that we have to vote on it, that would be good.
There won't be a need now for,
I'm sorry?
What's that?
there won't be a need to discuss it. I mean, that's what I was going to say.
Oh, okay, so we can take that
Put
off?
the minutes back on the
Put
consent?
the.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
So item number 8 then will be the accounts payable.
Yes.
9 we don't have anymore, right?
Yeah, we don't have a 9. Okay, so
Okay.
what we've done is, under consent agenda 4, we have removed item B, supervisor to attend MATS conference, and added supervisor to attend MTA I'm not sure what it's called.
It's just their
Township finances.
Township finances
Okay.
conference.
On October 27th and 28th with hotel meals and mileage. Under unfinished business, we are removing item number 1, motion to approve cemetery cleanup. And we are adding to new business number 6, discussion of SAW grant. And item number 7, approve the Parks and Rec cap on the trunk or treat to be $500. And item number 8, accounts payable.
Can I get a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item number E, approved consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Open session, anyone wishing to address the board on agenda items only? Excuse me.
Okay. Under new business, number 2, motion to approve $250 to Tim's Lawn Service for tree removal and trimming in the cemetery. Is there some trees that need to be removed in the cemetery?
There is a lot of tree branches that are practically hanging on.
Well, the trimming, I thought that was going to be part of our cemetery cleanup. We were doing
That's
it.
why we're not doing the cemetery cleanup and we're
When did we
using it as
stop
part of
doing, when did we
maintenance
cancel the cemetery cleanup?
right now. When
Why
we're
are we
going to
canceling the
postpone
cemetery cleanup?
it. We're canceling it because of what we have found through MTA and what is part of our responsibility and as a fiduciary obligation towards the township. What we're not obligated to do is clean the headstones, repair the headstones because they're personal.
Okay, those
property.
weren't going to be done at the cemetery cleanup, and cleaning the headstones, putting ammonia on them was just a minor thing. The rest of it was cleaning the cemetery.
The maintenance, which is the landscaping and the leaves and the removal of all that is under township obligation, which involves.
So you don't want
the
volunteers
cutting.
doing it under a cemetery cleanup like other cemeteries do. They don't want to do that way.
Not at this point.
We'd rather pay money out from the township to do
Well,
this.
are we gonna have volunteers cut tree limbs
Yeah, we
out
had
of our?
Matt and Tony were planning on doing that.
I did
probably
not
the
get
week
any
before.
information with regards to any residents that were volunteering to, and it's October, what is it, 8th? And I did not get any notification that residents were volunteering to cut down trees. I have not.
They're not cutting down trees, they're trimming them.
Or
We had
limbs.
we had a tree guy come, 2 tree fellows come in, and the second one said,
Yeah,
no.
I did not get any documentation from anybody saying that they would cut down tree limbs.
It was
So
discussed
somebody,
amongst us.
it was discussed, but I did not receive any
Yeah, I don't know
documentation.
whose responsibility that was to bring it to your attention, but when we had a meeting, we discussed it. Matt discussed, we all discussed it, had a meeting, and said, we went over to the cemetery, and we all volunteered to do certain things. Now, whoever you had in charge of that, which I think was Beth, she didn't come to you and report it to you.
Nope. I didn't.
Well,
I
and the
didn't-
bottom line too is that there was discussion about how those limbs were gonna be used for the bonfire for the trunk or treat, and all that cleanup. I mean.
I have no documentation. If
So-
somebody, if you guys want to tell me now and say that you're gonna cut down the tree limbs and that's great, but I have no documentation whatsoever.
Well, then why, we canceled the cemetery cleanup without talking to any of us, and then we're gonna cut down those trees, and nobody notified you, but why weren't we notified there was a cancellation of the cemetery cleanup? And a discussion of what actually was gonna be done. You know, I mean, if you really wanted to know, you had to ask all of us what was going on. You know, there's a sparse amount of people that are doing all this volunteerism. And Parks and Rec and through the Historical Society decided to join together to make this a positive thing and work. And now, it's canceled, and we just found out now. And we've all been working on it, trying to get people, there's supposed to be a ceremony at the beginning of this through the VFW.
Again, I had no knowledge of that. I was not informed of a ceremony or anything. I was informed of, it was gonna cost X amount of dollars for the township to come up with to clean the headstones. There was gonna be
No,
so
no,
many
no.
volunteers.
There was X amount of dollars.
This is what I was informed of, Pat. I was not informed of a ceremony. I was not informed of how many people were gonna be there for the cemetery cleanup. I, for one, have been all for it, because I've been out there just as much as everybody else. I called MTA, I've had arguments with different residents, different board members as to what the township is obligated for and what they're not obligated for. I've contacted attorneys, I've talked to MTA, I've talked to other supervisors as to what we're legally able to do, and it's all new. It's all a learning process for us, being that we just acquired it. What I was told was that legally for the township, we are only obligated to make sure if it is a health, if it's health or injury, then we are responsible for it. So meaning if there's dilapidated headstones, or if there's something that's gonna, health-wise, contaminate our community, that's what the township is obligated to. Do I like that answer? No, because I like the whole idea of the cleanup, but I have to follow through with what we are legally obligated to. We can get donations to clean up the moss and the dirt off the headstones. The township is required to maintain the cemetery, which would be the landscaping, the limbs, the trees, things like that. Fixing headstones, they're considered personal property. And if we can't contact the family members, then if they're gonna cause some injury to somebody that's in the cemetery, yes, we have to fix them, but if not, they're not a responsibility. And the suggestion that I got was to contact the family member. I didn't like that, but I have to do what's in the best interest of the township, whether I like it or not.
But
And
why-
I don't like it.
Can I ask you something? Why weren't any of us that are involved in the cemetery cleanup notified of this before this meeting? And then it went on an agenda.
It literally didn't go on the agenda. I just changed it because I sat there and was arguing with everybody because I didn't like the response that I got either, because I was pro cemetery cleanup. But I have to do.
And since Beth was in charge, I'm sure that it was brought
And as a matter of
up.
fact, I did contact Beth because I did want to have an idea of what she needed with regards to cleaning materials so that we could, for donation purposes, because we could clean it if we had
She got a lot of
donation.
donations.
But she didn't send me, I have nothing.
I know she sent you and me
She
a
sent
copy
me
of
what
what her
she had
needs were.
possible. We have it right here. I have it right here too. The fixing of the veterans, because she wanted to put a foundation. I have revised the budget to $110 to $200, depending on the amount of volunteers we got. Well, that doesn't give me a set thing to bring to my board to say this is the amount we need.
That was her preliminary.
But I had sent her an email, and I had called her yesterday and today saying, look, this is what I'm getting now.
Did you talk to her? Actually talk to her?
No.
I know her
She
husband's in the
sent-
hospital or
right,
something.
Right,
yeah.
so I can't, there's nothing I can do, because she did all the work, and I appreciate that she did all the work in that, but I can't bring before the board, I don't have an idea, because it was great of her to take this on and all that, but I said, I just need a number so that I could fight the fight for her today. And I could tell our residents, look, this is how much we need for donations, but I have no idea what we need. Can we cap it? I don't know. I have no idea what she wants to do.
The other
So-
thing I wanted to bring up is that we need a cemetery board sooner than later.
I agree with
Because
you on that.
we need this board to do the research, to find out what the cost of burying somebody is, to buy a plot there, to have the fundraisers to clean up that cemetery because it is a mess. It's been badly neglected for years.
And to also make sure that we have as current, up-to-date files with contacts for family members with regards to headstones and things, and cleaning up. I don't feel comfortable taking somebody's flowers off of somebody's headstone. I don't feel
It's in the
comfortable with it.
cemetery ordinance, and we can legally
It
do
is,
that.
but-
We're
that's
straying
saying
from
that we
the
need to do
agenda,
that,
and
so.
it's
Okay.
way over.
Anyway, so we do need, sooner than later, we need the cemetery board. So, okay, thank you.
Tony? Are you doing your thoughts?
Let me know when you're ready.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
My name is Tony. I'm a Spatafor. I'm here from Parks and Rec, chairman of the board. I'm here to ask for a spending account for the Parks and Rec because we seem to have to put on these events and we don't have no money to go to the stores and buy the stuff. So I'm presenting to this board that we can set up an account of an example of $100,000 with a checking account, a checkbook going to my treasurer, Joe over there, so he can handle what's paid into this Parks and Rec and what's paid out. I ask for a treasurer's report every month, and he's unable to do his job because you guys appointed us to the board, and when he doesn't have the efficient things to do his job, as far as giving me a treasurer's report so we can track the money, things don't get done. So I'm asking this board to approve a spending account for the Parks and Rec of anything under $1,000, the board would have to approve, not Township Board, the Parks and Rec Board. Anything over $1,000, the Township Board would have to approve. I'd have to bring it to the board, and you guys can approve it. That's what I'm asking for, because I can't do and put on events efficiently without no money. I got volunteers that came aboard, and they're saying, Tony, let's go buy the stuff, and I don't have the money to buy the stuff. So I'd appreciate it if you guys take it into consideration that this needs to be done in order for the Parks and Rec to do their job efficiently. So that's the first thing. The second thing is it was never brought in front of the board of the Parks and Rec to cut down those 7 trees that were over at the park. I had a meeting and one of my board members brought it up to me that they were going to take the expense out of the Parks and Rec. And I don't think the Parks and Rec should have to pay for something that the board never voted on. All right? That's my personal opinion. And I feel a lot of my board members feel the same way. All right? Parks and Rec wasn't included. You guys went ahead and approved for them people to go over there and cut down those trees.
Township property, they shouldn't have came out of Parks and Rec.
Lori, did you say it was coming out of Parks and Rec yesterday? That was a Parks and Rec, that was going to come out of Parks and Rec, the $185.
It's part of the park, so yes,
Right.
it would be coming out of the Parks and Rec. That's what money
That's
is
what I was
earmarked
told.
for.
Okay, well, we'll look into that.
Okay? I'm only going by what I was told,
Okay.
all right? So I'd appreciate it if you did look into it.
I will.
I'm out there trying to save these taxpayers a lot of money, okay? And what I mean by that is in the springtime, if you remember, I went out there myself and cut up 7 trees and didn't charge the township a dime, all right? So when I see stuff, it's appalling to me when stuff comes across and I'm holding a meeting and I'm supposed to be looking out for the expense of this township, and somebody tells me they're taking it out of Parks and Rec, and Parks and Rec don't know nothing about it. All right? So I'd appreciate it if you looked into that for me and let me know what your investigation was completed and what you found out. Thank you.
Any other public comments with regards to agenda items? All right, we'll move on. Under new business, Item number 1, motion to approve resolution R 2014-09, resolution for local road system funding assistance program.
We're moving 6 up to 1.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm moving 6 up to 1, or Sawgrant.
Good evening.
My arrow.
Just to refresh everybody, congratulations again. The township has received, the state has approved the township application for the SAW grant for the amount of $310,000. Could be minus a 10% match. Yeah, that's still in the works, so it could be a full 310. At this point, we just want to give you guys an update of what's the next steps dealing with this grant. And if you recall, back in when we did the application, we broke down the tasks that we can do. It's basically a wastewater or a sanitary sewer asset management plan. That means we got a chance to map, inventory, and assess the infrastructure, look at the rates, TV and clean any problematic areas, obtain some GIS software and hardware and get training on them. So it's very beneficial for you, DPW also. And I believe the township, but let me go back. We met with Ken, Pat, and Matt, and Tom back in September 15th. We went over these components of the SAW grant, and we kind of had an open discussion of what the township would like to see as far as which tasks need to be tackled first. And that was just an open discussion of these items. And then I believe 2 days ago or yesterday, Michigan Financial Authority had sent a letter to the township committing to the grant, and I believe the supervisor was authorized to execute that document and send back to the state. I suggest sending it certified.
I did.
Excellent. So that triggers everything. What we hear tonight is just to update the board and the public, and these tasks and the budgets were approved as part of the SAW grant application. What we see as priority, we just like your go-ahead, and what we see as priorities is at first in discussion with DPW and Mr. Chartier that a couple of sewers were leaking, and we'd like to TV them, map them, TV them, and clean them. But it was further discussed that we should wait till the spring when the ground is thawed, and that's the worst time to deal with the sewers. So any major leaks, we will find them in the spring. But we can start with the specs right away and get the package ready. In doing that, we still have to map the system, and so we can produce these bid packages. And I believe a couple of board members would like us to look at the rates, not waiting till the end of these tasks. So the way I see the number one priority would be mapping and looking at the rates in parallel, putting the specs for TVing and cleaning.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
You had mentioned that to check out the leaks in the sewer system, that the spring would be the worst time to do it, but you want to do it in the spring. Why is that?
Worst time for leaks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, best time
I thought
for
you were
us.
saying the worst time to be looking at
I'm
the
sorry.
sewer. I'm sorry, okay.
Best,
Thank you.
It's actually the best time to do it.
the
Okay.
best time to do it. Yeah. Worst
Thank
leak.
you.
Worst time for leaks.
Best time for the leaks.
Yeah, best time for the leaks. Yeah, because the ground is going to be frozen soon, and
Right.
by the time we get the specs and the bid package together, we may not find any leaks. So why do it twice?
Right.
It's unfortunate that they waited till the end of the season to grant us this money.
Right.
But the spring is not far. That'll give us a chance to work on the specs and work with you, DPW, pinpoint the problematic areas and produce the plans and specs together. So tonight, just,
This is the game plan for the SAW grant is A, map out the system, second, check out the water rates, third, do the specs and get the package ready. Specs being the
For
TV,
TV
camera
and cleaning, right.
Okay,
So which ones of these do you want to prioritize for right now?
map
On-
this,
mapping,
map the
Okay,
system.
that would be,
Water rates would be second and the TV and cleaning would be third.
But the TV and cleaning, you were going to
Wait till
look
spring.
into 2 or 3 different contractors that do that.
so item number 1 is the top, the one on the top.
Inventory,
Inventory. That would be,
that one you can start on now.
yeah, we can start on that right
And I
away.
sent that package today, overnight, they will have it by noon tomorrow. And then as soon as they receive that, they will release the funds to get it all done.
Actually, it's an expenditure.
Right.
There's a form that we're going to download from the DQ. And whatever cost incurred, you can just attach that to the form and send it to them. They'll reimburse you the money, minus the matching.
Right.
So, you can send for that application, whatever the township paid for, you can send that invoice right out,
Okay.
right away.
Okay, inventory is number 1. What's your second one?
Second
Are you
one,
going to start?
second one would be
I'm asking him.
We already
the
discussed
rates.
You did, maybe did, but
it.
I
We just
didn't.
discussed it, right where we're sitting here.
Off of this list, he's going to give us our numbers. That's your notes.
Library.
Which one is your number 2?
The rate structure development, so kind of towards the bottom.
And what's the other one? You were going to get your pricing on your cleaning?
Yeah, partial, I would say partial on cleaning, televising, because we're only putting the bid specs together.
Okay.
So we're not going to get a bid until the spring. So I would say a 3A. Specs.
And that's all you'll be able to do until we get to spring, and it was just
Yeah.
your inventory, your rate structure, and then you're gonna start to get some contractors lined up for your cleaning and televising,
Correct. And then we can tackle the rest as we go along.
as need be.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Any other questions? I'll be in communication with all of you. We're going to send emails to everybody with any updates. Once you get that document signed, we'll send it to everybody. If we get any communication back from the DQ and that, reimbursement forms, I'll just keep everybody informed.
So if we don't need something on here, we can change? Like if something changes, you find that you don't need something, or you get a different quote for the cleaning, the prices can change and go somewhere else?
Yeah, these
or-
are estimates.
These are just estimates,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
When we go out for bids, we receive the package, we compare the bids, and we'll make recommendation back to the board.
That's what I mean,
Yeah,
how
the
do
board
you
has to
determine that?
approve it.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they'll be under contract with you, with this board.
Okay.
Anybody else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So is it gonna be number 2? right?
No, this is 1. That was number 6
That
taken
was
out of
number
order.
6, now you're going to start number 1. Move it on along.
Okay, number one, motion to approve resolution R 2014-9, resolution for local road system funding, which this is basically what we did, what I applied for last year. This, we're gonna ask for funding for matching with the county. Our main goal is to do shortcut. Wouldn't you say, TK, shortcut would be our main priority?
Shortcut, yeah, it needs attention right now.
Short,
And finishing Bruce Street, the north side of Bruce Street, which we already got the match for the south side, excuse me, for this year.
you know, I remember when I was going door to door in 2012, by far the roads that were worse for drainage problems were Shortcut and Bruce. So I'll gladly make the motion to approve Resolution R 2014, 09, Resolution for Local Road System Funding Assistance Program.
I'll second.
All in favor?
That's
Aye.
a resolution, we need to do a roll call.
Oh, yeah, roll call.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori, yes. Michael?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes. Item number 2, cemetery tree trimming and removal, cutting down lower hanging branches and trees and cleanup. With regards to this quote, it's primarily the south side of the cemetery in the center with the big, the really big branches that are hanging down that are, that could cause a risk to potential people that are visiting the cemetery, and the monuments there. That's all that I seen that really required, need right now as regards to a hazard to the residents or the people that were coming to visit their loved ones.
Is that the same kind of work that Tony was just suggesting that he can handle, or he's going to, for the wood?
I've never gotten no word from the other.
Nothing from the cemetery?
I don't know what happened to that wood. I mean, did it get hauled off? or-
You know what though, if we were to have a resident do that, we would have to look into our insurance to see if we're held liable for somebody to just come in and cut it down.
Okay.
I'm not sure of the legalities of that. Are you?
I have no
They have
idea.
a resident volunteer as compared to have somebody,
Is that you're talking about the new law that she was talking about? They have to look under and see?
they'll hold harmless and all that jazz, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, we also have an obligation with the insurance company to
Right.
do the waiver.
So I'm all for, something that's cut down for free, that's great. As long as they sign a waiver saying that they're on their own.
This,
I don't want you faring off and doing something you ain't supposed to do.
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm just saying that.
No, I'm not
you know.
asking you to.
I have a
I'm just
question.
telling you, I don't want you to. All right? That's not what I'm asking.
I have a question with regard to this. Are these branches large enough that if,
These are the ones when I sent the email for everybody to go outside and look at them, all the board members, to take a look at the cemetery to see what their thoughts were.
is this something that would fall under a professional needs to do, so
I think so.
Property is-
I think they're-
When I looked
they're
at it, I thought,
huge.
so there's
Tree
too
branches.
so
too
property, we actually need to have an insured professional.
I personally think so, but I don't,
Tree
know
trimmer.
what people can handle.
TK?
If you have big enough limbs out there, if they fall on one of the monuments and break it, the
Right,
person that cut them better have insurance.
yeah.
'Cause if they
They're-
break one of those grand monuments, that's gonna be expensive.
And they're huge, I mean, it's a huge tree limb, it's big. The main one that
There's
we're
quite a
talking
few,
about,
there's
there
quite a
is
few trees for $250.
It's
I
a-
mean,
very reasonable. for
reasonable
what-
too.
And that's just him looking through and doing whatever needs to be done. It's not just one tree limb.
Right. I just want to make sure it was in a location where if something happened and it damaged
Yeah,
something, that we
I'm-
need someone who's insured.
Right, well, the thing is that we've had this for this quote for how long? Since 9:15, and none of the other board members went out to address it and look at it. And now we're here at the board meeting, you guys are questioning it, so.
So Tim
it's
has the
been-
insurance that you're talking about that you're wanting?
Well, did you call and ask them to see?
No, I didn't.
Uh,
It's the first time I've seen this.
Well, we've had it since 9:15.
Well, maybe you haven't,
Well,
I
why did
haven't,
you
I got
get-
it tonight.
Yeah, but your packet you should have got last week, so I don't get why you got it tonight.
Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve $250 to Tim's Lawn for tree removal and trimming in the cemetery.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Motion to approve replacement of lights for the front sign and the flagpole.
I'll make a motion to approve the replacement of the lights on the front sign and flagpole.
I'll second it. All in favor? Or anybody for discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. With a note on that, I would like to thank Mr. Hahn, being that we had an issue with our, the pulley system on our flag pole, and our flag went flying, and it was broken and all that. Mr. Hahn, Billy McGuire, and McGregor and Mr. Walker for fixing that for us. We
Mr. Smith.
really appreciate it. Mr. Walker Smith, we appreciate it. Motion to renew Fred Pryor training rewards at $2.99 a person.
I'll make a motion to renew the Fred Pryor training rewards for $2.99 per person.
How many people are on that?
Originally, it was
4 of us.
Michael, yourself, Kelly, and I.
I
And-
don't need it. I do need it probably, but I don't have time to,
Right.
so I'm not gonna waste the money.
And so, yeah. Right now, then, are you interested in those training, in that training?
Sure.
Said before, again.
Okay.
Okay, so
I need
who's
a
gonna
second.
second it? Lori, made the motion?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve hold harmless agreement. This basically is for volunteers.
I'll make a motion to approve the hold harmless agreement.
Could that be explained a little bit better?
Sure, we need a second.
After we
to-
get a second, I'll second it. Discussion. Go ahead, Lori.
Did you second, Kelly?
Yep.
What this is we have a requirement through our insurance company that we have a hold harmless clause. When we have volunteers come in, we need to have them sign, it's kind of like when your kid goes to the bouncy house, and you sign that waiver saying that if my kid gets hurt, you are not holding bouncy house liable for that injury. It's kind of the same thing. If people came over and volunteered to cut down the trees and the tree fell on them, it holds the township harmless and puts the responsibility on the person who was cutting the tree.
Now, what about, for example, people who show up at something like a trunk or treat or a food drive?
Are you talking about people working it, or are you talking about people utilizing it?
Well, both.
People working it
are
have to sign it. People visiting the township park for the function do not have to sign it.
Okay, so now at the trunk or treat, I've had several people ask when I mentioned this to them, are the people passing out the candy classified as the ones?
Volunteers, yes.
Okay. Wow, so everybody would have to sign it?
Yes, yeah.
Is this something that John looked at? I mean, it's worded right for that?
Yeah, it came right from the insurance company.
Okay.
Because I actually had one person specifically say to me about the trunk or treat, I'm not going to sign, or I'm not going to sign anything. I think that might hurt attendance at the trunk or treat if everybody passing out candy has to sign
You're
it.
passing out candy, you have to sign a waiver?
If you're volunteering, you have to sign the waiver. and it has to do with our insurance coverage. If we don't have the waiver on file, we lose that insurance coverage.
So if somebody that's passing out candy trips and falls over their a
Cord that
rock
they
while
have.
they're passing out candy, then they could potentially sue the township.
Well, at the last food drive, there was a woman who tripped over that asphalt thing. I mean,
And it's a good thing that she couldn't sue.
but she didn't sign this.
She was not a volunteer. She was somebody that was coming to receive
Okay.
donation from.
So someone like her,
This is for volunteer people, Michael.
and the kids getting the candy would not have to sign this.
No.
All right.
Okay, everybody done with discussion? Lori, can you restate the motion, please?
A motion to approve the hold harmless agreement.
And I seconded it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Item number 8, accounts payable.
No, you're gonna increase the parks.
Which is Parks and Rec.
Oh, the cap of 20 for trunk or treat.
Right. In regard to what we have found out recently with the training, on what we can and cannot spend money on, one of the things is that what we offer has to be offered to everybody that is in attendance. And the request last month was, well, let me make a motion to approve. Let me go back, let's back step a little bit. What did I do with my motion? It's here somewhere. To approve the cap for Parks and Rec, to add $500 for the trunk or treat.
I'll make a motion, or did you just make the motion? Do you need a second?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, I'll second.
Okay.
Any discussion?
We need to include everyone in attendance in the refreshments. And so we are asking to raise that up to $500 from $250.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8, accounts payable. Excuse me, Michael?
Yes, I just had some people I was talking over with the, this accounts payable. A couple of things people were asking about. Last month we approved $185 for Tim's Lawn Care, but on that day, 6 checks were written. Can you explain that one?
Sure. What Tim's Lawn does is they give me an invoice every time they mow the lawns. So what you see here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different days of mowing. And if you look, no, it's not on this one. What that is, that second sheet I gave you, there's some Tim's Lawn on there. If you look at that for reference.
Yep, I saw that one at the bottom.
Okay, then I can explain it better. What this here that you're looking at right now is the proof, which tells you that it's the September 23rd through 24th, 2014 mowing.
Okay.
And then it gives the amount for that one. And what they do is they give individual invoices. In my experience, in paying these bills, if I give them a one check for 5 different invoices, they apply the money to the wrong invoice, and then it takes hours of me trying to backtrack and get them to straighten out their invoices so that we are on the same page. So what I do is, even though it's a few cents for that extra check, I cut the check so on that check it has that invoice number, and then in that way, their bookkeeping and our bookkeeping is straight.
Okay.
That's why that happens that way.
The other one that I had people ask about, and I also was wondering, item number 4 from September 15th, 2014, Susan Biscorner.
That was for the August election.
Okay. All right, that's what I was wondering about.
Yep. And if you notice on there, there is one for Carolyn Olette for the same amount of money. and one for civil chop for the same amount of money. That was for working the election.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving right along. Any public comments?
Oh, we need to approve that report.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable report.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comments?
It's been about 4 months now since the board discussed that scanning to the cloud thing, and I know Ken was the only one that voted against it. What's going on with it? Because I thought you said there was like a free trial period.
Right, and I'm working on getting the minutes in and agendas in and all of our back stuff.
So I mean, this 4 months is part of the trial period? But we're not seeing anything.
Do we have a link?
I went to the website, I
have
haven't
to-
seen anything.
I have to get back with him, but I'm trying to get stuff in it so that when we do have a link, you're not just seeing 1 month or 2 months worth of stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, 4 months is 4
I'll call him
months.
tomorrow.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be commenting while you're talking, but I'll call him tomorrow and ask him what that link is.
yeah, because I'm really
Sure.
interested in the stuff, so.
Sure.
Alrighty.
Anybody else?
I'm not sure if you guys can help me or not. Maybe somebody can call me tomorrow. But my question is about the election and the ballot that came out, and it's kind of confusing because it says township recall, it says trustee, and it also has the two gentlemen's names, but it's not actually a recall, but a vote for who we want to put in to the trustee seat for the next 2 years. So on behalf of the residents that signed the petition thinking that they were going to have a recall, I'm just wondering who's responsible for letting the township residents know exactly how this ballot is going to work. And also, as far as affiliated parties goes, I know that the current trustee is a Republican, and that the other gentleman that's going to be running for the seat ran and actually got a Republican delegate position, but he can't run as a Republican in the election coming up because there was already a Republican. Why is that? And like I said, I know you guys can't really comment back right now, but maybe if somebody could get back with me, because I'm a little confused on exactly how that works. Because I think the citizens who either want to vote for one trustee or the other should be aware that if they mark a name, they're not recalling somebody, they're actually voting for them. And I don't know if there's somebody we can go to have that clarified.
Basically, we had information through our county clerk and our state local officials, and the best person to call would be Lori, because
Okay.
she's the clerk. We can't comment on that right now during
Right,
a
right,
board
right.
meeting.
Okay.
And when Lori does comment on it, it's not going to be on what her personal opinion is. It's going to be on what she
Right.
was told by the state
Okay.
and how to respond.
But we could send somebody to her just to
Yep.
explain how the ballot works. I mean, her
Absolutely.
opinion doesn't.
Absolutely. And then if you want a second opinion, you can go to our clerk, our county clerk, Jay DeBoyer. If you want a
Okay.
third opinion, we have Bill Graytop, who is our district commissioner. If you want a
Okay.
fourth opinion, Phil Pavlov. We have it because it's been
Okay.
so confusing.
You were
The
very
township,
confusing.
Lori, none of us, we're not responsible for the verbiage on it, the state is.
Right.
But they have, being that it's so confusing, they have contacted us as to how Lori can't,
But she
give
can explain
direction.
what it, direction,
Just-
not,
To stave
Thank you.
off a ton of phone calls,
right.
do you want me to respond?
It's up to you if you want.
Okay. With regard to who to contact with the language, that would be the Elections Bureau.
Okay.
The reason why we have a Republican and you cannot have another Republican on there, that has to do with the new recall law that came out.
Okay.
That you can contact your senator and your congressman and the state election commission and give them your opinion on what you think of it. And with regard to the language on the ballot, all I can say for that is the person that you want to finish out the term is the person you mark. That's all I can say about that.
Okay. Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to say that I think it's really sad that not only can the board not get along, but there's no communication between the groups, there's no support for volunteer events. It's just a shame that this township could be so much better than it is, and it just, we can't get our resources together and make it happen.
Anybody else?
Okay, okay. No, go, you're up first. Ladies first.
Thank you. So, good evening. I received an email at work today, which wasn't so nice. And it pretty much was about information on someone that's running for the board. And it was put on there that township citizens should do their homework. I did my homework, believe me. I made a phone call and called the city manager of St. Clair Shores. I am still waiting for it in writing, but we did have a discussion on the phone, and it was specifically regarding Matt Kowalczyk and any involvement in a investigation of embezzlement. He had told me, and I had also spoken with the man that headed that investigation at that time, and it was a few years ago, that everybody was investigated, all employees. And it came out that it was one person that was found to be guilty. Upon completion of that investigation, a Mr. Dumas was the one and only person found to be involved. He was terminated, he was charged, and he was convicted of embezzlement. Matt Kowalczyk had nothing to do with it. He also stated in the very end of our conversation that he would send me that in writing, and I will send that to whoever wants it, that Matt Kowalczyk, and I quote, is the nicest guy you will ever meet, and he is squeaky clean, end quote. I don't like getting these things, and I think because there's an election doesn't mean it has to get so ugly. So I think everybody that wants to be informed can do the same thing that I did. Now, as for the cemetery cleanup, I'm a little disappointed that we weren't involved in the discussion prior to tonight. I get that you say Beth gave you nothing. I don't know, because I've been working with Tony and some other people on the trunk or treat. And I find it odd, did anybody sign a waiver when they were helping out at the summer picnic? Does anybody know that? Anybody? Can you get that information to me?
They didn't.
They didn't? Okay.
I'm not sure if it's a new policy.
No, we just
or what.
found out about
I
this
actually
also.
have the email that I got from our insurance guy today, like
Mhm.
just sent it over, that told
Okay.
me I had to sign this for the waiver thing. So I'm not sure if that's a new policy or what they have, because I don't recall anybody having to sign that either.
Can
And
you
I
find
did
that
just-
out?
Not the email, as a matter of fact, it was a fax.
Oh,
that
got
he
it.
sent
Can you
over.
find that out and
What
get
is
back
it?
with me?
Absolutely.
And then regarding the MTA thing that you guys are talking about that you can and cannot do, as we just kind of discussed it last night at Parks and Rec, and I said to Lori, if that's the case, that you can't pay for Christmas or Easter, then would we pay for you guys to have that Thursday off if it falls on Christmas? Would that
Well,
be considered?
that doesn't have to do with that. What they're saying is,
But everybody reads things differently, that's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Could you look into that a little bit more? Because I
Look
find
into
that
it.
of not paying for something like Easter, if they wanted to have something in the park for the kids.
though they're not, we're not saying that. We're saying
But that was said last
if
night.
it's a Parks and Rec fund, if it's an activity through Parks and Rec,
Mhm.
it can be funded. If you specifically say Christmas, it has to be a holiday thing.
Okay.
And some communities do it on, it's a fine line, because I sent it out to all the supervisors, it's a fine line. Some do it, IRA does it through fundraisers.
Got it.
China
Okay.
Township does it through their Parks and Rec funding. So you're getting MTA saying one thing, other communities are doing it a different way.
Got it.
So with
Okay.
us, and with all respect to Lori and defending her, I sent it out to our supervisors and I'm waiting on feedback, and we're getting MTA saying, well, as long as, you know, you're doing it through a recreational activity, it can come out of Parks and Rec. But if you're doing something as Easter or holiday event, because not everybody celebrates that,
Right.
then it's a form of fundraising. And
Got it.
this all
Okay.
just became new because I'm sure, you know, I remember back in your Parks and Rec put on everything. And
Okay.
it came out of their fund, so.
The
it's
difference
just a new
is
thing.
that it's not coming out of the general fund. You
Right.
have specific fundraising events to make that money, as in donations, or you sell raffle tickets. It's not coming out of the general fund, is what they're saying.
Right, okay.
Right.
All right, but you're still going to look into that because of the questions we had last night. You said you were, correct? Perfect. Thank you.
My name is Vicki Perriman, and I am a former treasurer of the Park and Rec. And I guess my question to the board is, do you still budget money designated for the Park and Rec? And you probably do a line item budget? And on that line item budget, you probably say events, that perhaps they can spend $500 on events as they declare to you how many events they're going to have. So I'm a little confused why then they're fighting for money, which, to be honest with you, all of you that are on that committee, I was there. I fought for you, much like what you're doing again. It's like deja vu. So I guess I'm really questioning on that because that is almost a responsibility of the Park and Rec. You know, it's a happy thing for them. You're not looking at any funding. You're opening up, much like you do the food giveaways and so forth, and you're just saying, we as a community want to do this for the residents, which are children usually, or, you know, if you bring in a Santa, we used to do that and hand out candy canes and so forth. And I understand your harmless waiver thing that you're doing. I mean, that protects you. It obviously doesn't protect the volunteers. If they hand some piece of candy that has peanuts in it, that because the parent wasn't responsible enough to tell you not to do it, you know, and they come after the volunteer, you know, you guys are fine. The volunteer is the one that's going to feel really bad because you've made somebody sick. But that harmless form is really for your protection, which you need. I mean, I agree with that. But I guess I'm really confused for the Park and Rec, and I feel really bad for them because it's like deja vu. They are fighting for every little penny, and all they're trying to do, they're not trying to make any money on this. They're not putting on a party for themselves, but they're basically putting on an event so that the children in this community have some place to celebrate.
Well, speaking that 4 of the board members have children, and I'm pretty sure we're all pro Parks and Rec.
Right.
Our problem is what we're legally obligated to do because of the new so-called laws. It does take a lot of the fun away because that's what the Parks and Rec is all about. Also, the only source of income we have through our Parks and Rec fund without donations is what we get as a county match. Now, out of that $16,000 that we get as a county match, we're obligated for $8,000 of that per year to pay for the waterfront park.
I know that.
Right, with the other $8,000 to maintain both of the parks, and that's our obligation. I'd be so much happy to discuss that with you if you want to make an appointment with me.
I'm just saying
that
if they have it, and perhaps when the budget comes up next year and they line item, that if you're able to find some way that the other communities are wording the line item, that basically will say events or something. Perhaps that might be a solution for you. The other thing, and the frustration as a voter in this community, is whether it's, I guess the problem with this recall in the language, which I totally agree is absurd, this whole thing has happened, the bottom line is you got to come down and just vote for the person. You have to vote for the person that you really feel is going to come in and make a difference for this board. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comments?
I have something to say.
Lori, let me know when you can start.
Michael Zorin, 5865 Marine City Highway. I think Mrs. Perriman makes an excellent point. You need to go with the person who's going to make a difference. For example, I restored the spring cleanup of Cottrellville Township. I kept that promise. I have kept my promises more than any other board member. I recently talked to a friend of mine that supported Kelly and bought her campaign manager, and he says, Kelly, you didn't keep your promises, neither did Kenny. And that's 100% true. We aren't even going to be having a fall cleanup because Ken, Kelly, and Lori voted no to it. When I talked to Emterra Environmental, they couldn't believe that a free cleanup was rejected like that. We've seen the checkbook is now going to be online eventually, according to Lori. That was another promise. The meetings, I'm looking into a camera. That's been satisfied. In fact, I fulfilled that promise before the board even was willing to. I'm very pleased to report that I am the Republican candidate that the GOP has fully endorsed. I should point out that on April 15th of 2014, Mr. Matt Kowalczyk filled out a affidavit saying that he was a Republican. Then in July of 2014, Matt fills out another affidavit specifically saying he has no party affiliation. Then 2 weeks later, he's elected as a Republican precinct delegate. The people didn't know it, but they had already been stabbed in the back by Matt Kowalczyk. That violates a law called MCL 168.933, and it's a felony perjury. What that means is, according to MCL 168.938, he's not even going to be able to remain trustee if he wins the election. He'll be removed via quo warranto. It's been a pleasure working. We talked so much about the Parks and Rec Committee tonight. I remember earlier in 2013, that was another group that I saved. There was also a ordinance enforcement officer we recently hired for about $7,000 a year. It would not be necessary to hire that person if Matt Kowalczyk would have kept his promise to me to be the Planning Commission representative of an ordinance enforcement committee. Instead, he just suddenly changes his mind. I had talked to him. He told me how his friend Tom Raymond had given him a call, and so that's just shows you who his friends are. To be backstabbed like that is very disturbing.
Your time's up, Michael.
Okay.
Documented, thank you.
Thank you for giving me significantly less time as Pat Runyon.
Michael kept his promise and he sued the township over close to $40,000, $8,000 from general funds, over $8,000, and over $30,000 from insurance. Michael kept his promises, and he asked a new member of the Planning Commission to be a board representative on some fluky thing that he wanted to go over ordinances. That was the job of the Planning Commission. So there's nothing that Michael has done that has been positive, basically. I can't say that I disagree with him completely in some areas, but his way that he presents himself and the way he initiates things and the way he and tries to intimidate people with his camera, that he's the one that lost in the end. So hopefully people see the light in the election in November.
My name is Caroline Zorin. My son is Michael Zorin. Michael is not the one that broke the law. Matt Kowalczyk lied to the paper about how many signatures. There was not 600. There were other citizens that sued the township. And Pat Runyon is the biggest liar in the whole township. This board here broke the law, not Michael. They cost the township. They went around lying to the people that Michael sued the people. No. Michael was for the people. Everything he did was for the people.
I just want to say that I think it's important to remember that Clerk Lori Russellberg also sued the township before. So that's something that people should consider, and that's actually true. That $40,000 figure is not accurate from what I've heard, but I don't know where she's getting that from. But there's been other mistruths from her, so that wouldn't be uncommon. But I just want to say regarding like specifically the treatment, even I was actually zooming in on you guys tonight. When he speaks, the board members in general give smirks and laugh when he speaks. You never respected him as a board member. You never took him seriously. Even from the beginning, agenda items that residents asked him to place on the agenda, you guys just completely ignored him. So you know what? If that's how you want to do business, you want to hire your friends to get the best bids, that's fine. I understand that he was going to rock the boat because it wasn't going to be, hire your buddy. I get a lot of complaints from people, specifically Kelly, that you don't answer back, you ignore, you're feisty with people in the township. If that's how you want to do business, that's fine, but it's embarrassing, and I think it's really starting to become noticeable. And for the most part, you can see how it's affecting all the groups too, like with the township. So.
Anybody else for public comments? All right. On that note, I would like to mention that with our current ISO ratings, when we did our field tests and that, anybody that has a problem with their insurance company, please contact me, because yes, I did work that with our fire chiefs and our state ISO representative.
Point of order.
It is, many of the insurance companies are not adhering to what our hydrants and the amount of hydrants we have.
Point of
If
order.
you have a problem, Michael, don't interrupt me.
Point of order does not need a second.
If you have an interest in what your insurance companies are charging you, and if they're saying they're not recognizing our fire hydrants, then call me, because we did have that noted. Our ISO agent did note that. So just give me a call, and I'll be more than happy to help you out, as I did with the other citizens, about lowering their ISO ratings. We also have that Good Park on November 1st from 9 to 2. We'll be collecting electronics. So anybody that needs to dump their electronics, go to Good Park from 9 to 2 on November 1st. And then also, as Tony stated, the Parks and Rec is
Point of order,
a
Madam
truck
Supervisor.
and
fellow board members.
Michael, quit interrupting me.
There is no supervisor's report or
I
board
am
comments.
giving township business, so you need to be
You asked
quiet.
Ken during this time last month.
I did not ask Ken. Ken merely stated what happened with the trees as a trustee.
If the
I
fellow
did
board
not
members
ask
do
him.
not comply, it will represent pre-planned specific intent
Parks
to
and
violate
Recs are
MCL
looking for trunk or treaters for their
15.263 sub
trucking
5.
for their event on October 31st. Moving right along, our waterfront project is going great. We're a week ahead. They are ripping out the seawalls and the docks. They actually agreed to tear down the cabins for free. Our haulers are charging us $175 to run the 30-yard roll-offs back and forth to the landfill instead of $425, which would be a cost of $2,275 for the township to clear out the cabins and the house that's on that property. So I think that's all positive things that is going on in our township. Oh wait, I have one more. An update from our new code enforcer. He's currently working on 2 ordinances for the board's consideration. The first is adoption and creation of a municipal civil infractions bureau. This will allow the township to collect admissions of responsibility for ordinance violations and associated fines. Secondly, he would offer the adoption of the International Code Council International Property Maintenance Code. This is a document that regulates the conditions in all properties and allows the township to have one inclusive document. And these ordinances will be ready for the next meeting, which I think he's done a great job and it's money well spent. And for that, can I get a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay, roll call, please.
Motion carries.
Roll call, please.
Michael,
No.
Sandy. Yes. Kelly,
Yes, absolutely.
Ken.
To adjourn? Yes.
Lori, yes.
Please let the
Meeting
minutes,
is adjourned.
Clerk Russelberg, please let the minutes document